To be a champion, it requires heart and a relentless desire to be great. Here at Jaguar Women's Basketball, we call that being Southern tough. Join us here at F.G. Clark Activity Center all season long. Tickets are on sale now for 2017-18. Go Jaguars.
This is Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm.
Welcome to Inside the Jaguar Nation. I'm Morgan Beard. This man right here, Aaron Lee. And this show jam-packed with action, a little basketball, a little football, a little celebration ball.
Morgan, don't give it all away. Don't give it all away. Let's jump right into it. Give the people what they want, and let's get to those highlights from this past week's game.
Oh, what we got then, Aaron? What we got?
All right, we got Florida A&M in the house taking on the Southern Jaguars. And some special Jaguars will be honored, but we'll talk about that later. But who else to get it started? Then that big man, senior, Jared Sam, here he gets it early, gets the bucket from Eddie Reese. The Jaguars then would show off a little defense on this next play. They get the steal. Here we go, showtime, looking like the 80s Lakers. Put the Jags up 17-16.
Hey, and this one went back and forth. You could tell by that score right there. But in the second half, the Jags would blow this one wide open. Eddie Reese for three, and then Jared Sam to finish it off. The Jaguars take this one 68-50. So let's see if they can keep it rolling. Up next on the road versus Baylor this Wednesday. And Aaron, let's take a look at some final stats real quick.
Yeah, Sidney Amude had 14 points, a team high. Emmanuel Shepard added a double-double, 10 points, 13 rebounds. The Jaguars had 14 steals, forced 24 turnovers, which led to 20 points.
Wow, that is some pretty good stuff
Morgan,
right
this
there.
Jaguar basketball team kind of reminds me of the football team. You never know what you're going to get. It was a hard-fought battle, but it seemed like in the second half that they turned on a second gear and took this one away.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what you need in the team to kind of pull away in that second half. But the Jaguars have come out early in games with that mentality like they do in the second half, then who knows how far they actually can go. And we know they have a big matchup coming up this week.
Yes, they do.
A ranked opponent. We mentioned it earlier. We'll give you the details on that just a little bit later. But they really need to get it going once conference play starts, huh, Aaron?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. All right, let's get to some of them women's basketball highlights.
That's right.
Yeah, they played this past week, too. Let's roll those highlights. All right, here we go. The Lady Jaguars taking on the South Alabama Jaguars. And Samantha Duncan shows a little Tim Duncan with the banker. That ties the game. Here she goes again with the deep three. That would put the Jaguars within 3. Here we go. We have Brianna Green shows out the jumper as the Jaguars take their first lead of the game.
But the South Alabama Jaguars, they would fight back the Southern Jaguars. Senior center China Ellis hits the jumper, but then they come right back though. They give a little Hakeem the Dream shake and score. It was a good one here, but this is when the Jags got in trouble. South Alabama getting the lay-in here and the foul, and the crowd, they're liking that one right there. The next play, they get the rebound, goes right back for 2, and they lead 63-62. Southern had 2 chances in the final minutes, but Blissett here misses the fade, and Duncan cannot connect on the 3. The Jags fall short on the comeback win, 69-65. And once again for this one, let's dig a little bit deeper, Aaron. Samantha Duncan, we mentioned her, 22 points.
Yeah, Blissett, 21 points, 4 steals, 3 blocks. She couldn't hit that last jumper to seal up that game. And then also the Jaguars outscored South Alabama 17-3 in that third quarter as they made their comeback.
Well, I guess it sounds like they need the sounds of the human jukebox to kind of soothe the wounds there in that one. But hey, Aaron, we're just getting started, isn't that right? Coming up here on Inside the Jaguar Nation, it was graduation day on the Bluff. We'll take a look at some Jaguars you know on the field and hardwood as they reach a nice little life milestone.
And later in the show, we have Luke Johnson in studio again to talk about the Jaguars' future this next football season. We'll be right back.
You're watching Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm, with Brian Holland, Morgan Beard, Ashley Lyotis, and Aaron Lee.
That is right inside the Jaguar Nation. Morgan Beard alongside Aaron Lee. And this show will be here every Sunday as we give you an all-access pass on the Jaguar Nation. Football, basketball, everything right here.
Yeah, Morgan, this week's Performer of the Week, the theme is highlighting a student athlete.
Yeah.
Student athlete, a guy who gives you his all on the field and in the classroom. This week's Performer of the Week is linebacker Kentavious Preston.
Here with Kentavious Preston. It's weird to think, but the season over for the Jags. What are you going to think about? What are you going to remember? What's that one memory you're going to have from your senior year with the Jags?
I would say the Prairie View game. That was probably one of our hardest fought games, and we came out with a victory. So if I had to choose one game, it would probably be the Prairie View game.
All right, let's talk about your future plans. Sounds like you've got some decisions to make, maybe a future on the field as well, right?
Yeah, I have a few bowl games that I've been blessed to be a part of, and it's just coming down to making a decision on which one I'm going to play in.
Where do you kind of stand with that decision? What's going to make the difference in that decision, do you think?
It's just which game is going to give you the best opportunity to be showed in front of scouts, and
Sure.
That's basically what it comes down to.
Let's talk about your future off the field, because that seems pretty bright as well. What are you working on?
Yeah, I'm working on my MBA with a concentration in supply chain. So I started this fall semester. I started with my master's, and I plan on finishing.
And what do you want to do? I mean, that's a fancy way of saying you're pretty smart, but what do you want to end up doing with it?
With my master's, I want to end up owning my own sports agency firm. Yeah.
All right.
I'm doing a lot more things based off that, but that's the ground basis on what I plan on doing in the future.
I'll sign up. You can be my agent. How's that?
Gotcha.
All right.
And staying with education, this past Friday, I got to witness some Jaguars graduate, and it was a pleasure to be there to witness them complete this milestone. You know what, Morgan? I remember my graduation. How about you?
Oh, yeah, baby. I didn't graduate from Southern, but it looks like a party over there. Nothing like graduation, no matter what school you come from, but you were the one there at Southern. It was definitely something to be a part of, wasn't it?
It was a great celebration. You got Dylan Beard right there, tight end,
Hey, that's my cousin.
enjoying
Dylan
himself. You got Danny Johnson and Austin Howard. Those two are ride or die. You have Judge Faith Evans, who's from Louisiana, as commencement speaker. These guys right here having fun,
they're feeling
dancing it
themselves.
out. I was backstage with those guys a little bit, so it was just a great ceremony. I actually got a chance to speak with a few players after the ceremony.
It's not too much of an emotional day, it's just much of a big accomplishment, you know, just coming from where I'm coming from and how we came down here to play football. And this is an event that's just not about football, and we're just going out here, and it was just something that you're regular now. Like, now you got a degree, now it's something that I've been wanting as a kid, and it's what we came here for, essentially. Just to know we came in here as teammates and we're leaving as brothers. We all had the same goal, same dream, we had the same grind, and just know we all got the goal accomplished, you know what I'm saying? We didn't win a championship together, but we all got this degree here, and that's all that matters, you know what I'm saying? We're leaving here educated, came in together, stuck it out, and just to see all the hard work pay off, it's a blessing, it's an excellent feeling.
The emotions were high, you know, it was a great feeling just graduating with my brothers, you know, something that I always dreamed about, so now, you know, I finally accomplished another goal, so, you know, from here I just want to continue to keep building, you know, and this is not the last, you know, I'll graduate, I plan to come back and get my master's degree, so they'll see me again. Now for me, I just want all the kids to see that, you know, you're more than just an athlete. You know, at the same time you're going to school to play football, you're going there to get your degree. So I want the kids to just see, you know, the biggest thing is getting that degree out of there, out of them while you can. So, you know, that's the biggest goal, biggest thing that I'm trying to set for the kids.
Hey, good stuff there, Aaron. So as those guys were dancing and feeling themselves at graduation, you know they're always dancing and feeling themselves there at the Human Jukebox all year long, and it's always nice to take a little look and listen on what they bring to the table.
Yeah, it is. Coming up next, we talk Celebration Bowl, and even though the Jaguars didn't make it, their familiar opponent did, and we have the details. Also, Ashley Lyotis tells us what's going on the bluff. We'll be right back with more Inside the Jaguar Nation.
This is Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm.
That's right. Welcome back to Inside the Jaguar Nation. Morgan Beard, Aaron Lee joining you guys here this Sunday night. And we don't like to talk about our personal opinions too much here or what we're into, but I'm not going to lie, Aaron and I, big basketball fans, and we know there's nothing like basketball season on the bluff.
You're right, Morgan. I agree. Basketball is a great sport, and Jaguar basketball is great because the fans travel well. They know how to fill up a stadium, an arena, a gym. It doesn't matter where they're at. The fans are loyal as always. So to let you know what's coming up with the men's and women's team, we bring in our own Ashley Lyotis to give you an update.
Basketball season is in full swing over on the bluff. Let's take a look at how the men's and women's team did this past week. Men's basketball played Iowa in Iowa City on Sunday, but they lost 60-91. The women's team has also been traveling. On Monday, they lost to South Alabama in a tight game, 65-69. On Wednesday, they lost to Bethune-Cookman, 56-68. Coming up, the men's team will travel to Waco to take on Baylor. That game's set for Wednesday, December 20th at 7 o'clock. The women's team is headed to sunny Florida for the West Palm Invitational on Monday, December 18th. They'll play Toledo at noon. We'll, of course, have more scores and highlights next week on Inside the Jaguar Nation.
Well, thank you very much, Ashley. So we're talking basketball a lot more, but hey, we're stretching it out as long as we can. We're not entirely done with football season yet, Hunter.
Not yet, but good news for Southern fans. One of their rivals had a tough weekend at a bowl game.
Yeah, not just one of their rivals, perhaps the rival. Third annual Celebration Bowl. It's the SWAC champs Grambling State versus the MEAC champs North Carolina A&T, and it didn't start out well for the Tigers. In the second quarter, Mr. Excitement Martez Carter fumbles and gives the Aggies the ball. But the Aggies would cap it off with a touchdown. Lamar Renard finding the touchdown there.
Yeah, Morgan, but the Tigers didn't give up. They would come right back, and Devontae Case found Jordan Jones for the touchdown. Now the game is tied at 14. Watch this. Renard, the quarterback, fakes it, but he finds his man down the sideline, and then he caps it off to get the go-ahead score. North Carolina A&T wins their second Celebration Bowl in 3 years, 21-14.
On the last drive of the game, marching them down the field there. And we were talking about this earlier. Southern fans, they're happy with the Grambling State losing, right? No SWAC pride or what? What do you think?
Well, with that rivalry, they do not want to see them win another championship.
Yeah.
They're already cocky, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Southern Jaguar fans are cheering a little bit under their throat. But let's get to some final stats of that Celebration Bowl. Lamar Renard, he was 23 for 43, 225 yards, 1 TD. Marquell Cartwright, this is where it killed them. He had 110 rushing yards on the day. Grambling's pretty good at stopping that run. And then the Aggies held the Tigers to a total of 111 rushing yards. Kincaid didn't get a chance to get off, or Mr. Incitement himself, Martez Carter, and that was the difference in the Celebration Bowl.
And that's why North Carolina won their second Celebration Bowl in the last 3 years. Say, roll that sound of that human jukebox. Can never get enough of them. They're doing their thing, dancing and musically. But hey, coming up next here on Inside the Jaguar Nation, this man right here is all over the Southern Jaguars. Beat reporter for the Advocate, Luke Johnson, is in studio to give his thoughts on the recruiting needs for the Jaguars going forward here on Inside the Jaguar Nation.
You're watching Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm, with Brian Holland, Morgan Beard, Ashley Lyotis, and Aaron Lee.
Welcome back to Inside the Jaguar Nation. I'm Aaron Lee. He's Morgan Beard. And
right.
football is never over around here in Baton Rouge. Recruiting is an all-year-round thing, right?
Oh, yeah, the season never ends, and coaches always trying to get the upper hand and fill those team needs. And our Brian Holland, he likes to get a little deep into these things, these subject matters. He sat down with Southern Jaguars beat reporter Luke Johnson to discuss what head coach Dawson Odoms and his staff need to do this offseason.
I think if you were just looking at right now who's in a better position quarterback-wise going into next year, it's Southern, because they have at least a good gauge of what they have there, like you were saying. But at the same time, I don't know how much the blowout losses to UTSA and Southern Miss are going to help with like the development of Bubba McDaniel and Darquez Lee. I think the thing that's going to help the most with those guys is that they're going to have a spring practice next year.
Right.
And they're going to be able to use that 4 weeks to evaluate those guys and to really see what they've got with them and see how much they've grown over the course of a year. It'll be the first time since I think 2013 they've had spring practice. So they'll get to see what these guys can do. John Lampley also needs to be in that mix. He was really I think showed he was capable running the offense when Austin Howard wasn't on the field. So it'll be between those three. They've got another quarterback named Kobe Lane, who is a transfer from another FCS school, and I think they'll probably address it in the recruiting class as well.
Lampley certainly showed that he can run in that offense. He can take off. I was talking to some of those senior defensive players, and they said, that guy can fly. Don't let him get loose. But let's talk about maybe some of the recruiting, some of those holes that the Jaguars need to certainly fill in. Do they maybe go after a quarterback, and where are some of those more areas of need?
Yeah, I think quarterback is definitely something they're going to address. And Dawson Odom's even broached the possibility of maybe even seeking a transfer. Another place to look is wide receiver. If you look on Southern's roster right now, it is just filled with 5'8" and 5'9" wide receivers or shorter. The three guys they had, Kendall Catalon, Cameron Mackey, and Jamar Washington, all played really well this year as freshmen. All guys who are in that kind of smaller slot receiver build. They asked them to play outside, and they did fairly well. But I think you want to give yourself the opportunity to have a bigger guy out there. You don't want to be putting those guys matched up against guys who are going to overmatch them physically.
All right, and there's the sweet sounds of the human jukebox. I wish I could do that more, get that low sometimes. But coming up next, this past week was big for a first-year head coach and a senior basketball player. We'll tell you who when we return to Inside the Jaguar Nation.
This is Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm.
Welcome back to Inside the Jaguar Nation. I'm Morgan Beard alongside Aaron Lee as we kind of shut the show down here this week. But first, the Jaguar players reached a milestone this past weekend in graduation. We talked about that, but we know a first-year head coach did as well, huh, Aaron?
Yes, Coach Morris Scott was honored by the Jaguars this past week at the Florida A&M game for his first win as head coach. Alongside with him, senior superstar Jared Sam was honored because he entered the 1,000-point club as well. Here he is right here, accepting the plaque from former coach Roman Banks, who's now the athletic director.
A little change of the guard there. And I think this is great. A lot of schools do this, the 1, the 100, the 1,000 win thing, but especially in front of his alma mater. Morris Scott went to Florida A&M, so to do that against his old school kind of meant a little extra to him, you think, didn't it?
And to have his family there, his kids there, it's just a great, ceremony to have that there. Again, like you said, against his old school he went to.
And senior forward Jared Sam, you mentioned that he reached 1,000 points for his career, and hey, the beautiful thing about that, the season has just begun, so he's going to add a lot more to that 1,000 points.
He said he wants to go out as one of the best big men in the SWAC.
Hey, that is it, and we'll see how it unfolds. But speaking of that being it, that's it this week here on Inside the Jaguar Nation. Aaron Lee,
another good show,
Morgan Beard, doing it here. We'll see you guys next week.
Winning doesn't happen overnight without a championship mindset. Come join me, head coach Morris Scott, and the SU Jags men's basketball team as we prepare for the upcoming season at the Mini Dome. Come join us. Go get your tickets today. Go Jags.